I tell you what, if you're looking for a really good sauce recipe, this sauce, well, it works. I'll just say that. Hello, welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be fulfilling a request. Some folks have been asking me to produce a barbecue sauce video, homemade barbecue sauce. We're gonna do it, all right? A great barbecue sauce. I've got a lot of ingredients out over here. Now this is something I've been doing for a long time. I've been making all kinds of barbecue sauces. If I were gonna make a barbecue sauce for myself today, I would likely use dried chilies and make a chili paste using those dried chilies. But I wanted something this time that was a little more average person pantry friendly. So the average pantry in the United States will often yield the ingredients that I have for this barbecue sauce. And no, ketchup is not on the list. Oh, I'm sick of seeing recipes that start with ketchup for barbecue sauce. That's disgusting. I came up with this idea, I think it was about 20 or 25 years back. So really good barbecue sauce that I have here. I'm happy to share it with you, and it's easy to do. Before we get into the ingredients, please look in my description box. That's where you're going to see a link to my recipes, and it's at S.A.Trotter.com. You'll also see a link to my Wisio, my Patreon, Facebook, Twitter, and everything else that I'm involved in down there. So please take a look. If you like the video at the end, thumbs up, drop comments in the comments box. I really appreciate that. And questions, don't forget I'm doing comments videos now, so if you have some questions, put them in the comments section. If you haven't subscribed, do so. Come on over, let's look at these ingredients and get started making a really stellar, delicious barbecue sauce. It's not hard to do, come on. The ingredients that we're going to be using to make a barbecue sauce today, hey, this is all easy stuff, folks. I've got 6 ounces tomato paste here. We got tomato paste, salt, paprika, cumin, and garlic. I've got some water, olive oil. This is some honey and brown sugar. Now there's a lot of stuff that you can use in one of these. For instance, your sweeteners. If you want to substitute molasses for one of these, do that. You can substitute any sugar you want, but remember, each sugar has its own unique character and flavor. Also, you can substitute other spices, such as this. This is a chipotle powder. Chipotle powder works great in this. Use it a half a teaspoon at a time until you get the flavor you're looking for. Or you could add something like this. People like bourbon barbecue sauces. So if you want, add in a little bit of bourbon. A little quarter cup of bourbon will really pop the flavor, and it will really be cool. Now, if you've got a problem with alcohol, of course, just don't put anything like that in there. So what we got here, delicious barbecue sauce. I'm getting ready to put mine together, and you get to join me. So let's get started. Now I'm about to get busy making this barbecue sauce. Something I do want to mention, when it comes to the sugars, as I said in the ingredients intro, sugar makes a difference. The flavor of molasses is substantially different than the flavor of white sugar. And you'll get a little difference in the flavor of turbano sugar. You know, that's that kind of a tan color, or what they call sugar in the raw. Brown sugar has its own flavor. Honey has its own flavor. Each sweetener has its own unique flavor profile. Take that into account when you're sweetening your barbecue sauce. This is the perfect recipe to experiment with. And what I'm talking about is, if you want to change out one of the sugars for molasses, do it. If you just don't think it's sweet enough and you want to add some more sugar and you want to make it a different sugar, try that. If you feel it needs a little more acid added to it, you can add pineapple juice or lime juice or orange juice or lemon juice. Anything fruity works well in a barbecue sauce. All right, I like the flavor of garlic in my barbecue sauce, but I want it in the background. I like the chili flavor of paprika in barbecue sauces, and it's very common in a lot of barbecue sauces. So I include that as a primary flavor in mine. The tomato paste is basically a carrier. It gives me a nice acidy base, a good fruity flavor to it, but that flavor gets covered up with the flavor of the spices and the sugars. So what we end up with is something very unique. Now remember, if you're going to experiment, let's say you want to add in chipotle powder, okay? That's a fine thing to do. Go ahead and try that. But remember, you can always put more in, but you can't take any of it out. So start with a small amount. Start with a half a teaspoon. Stir it in well, taste it. It gives you something or it doesn't. And then increase it until you get the amount you're looking for. But remember to measure it each time so you can remember exactly how much you used, write that down, and add that to your personal barbecue recipe. Try that. You can add cayenne to this if you want to bring up the heat. A half a teaspoon of cayenne will make this sauce banging hot. You put in a whole teaspoon and people may not like you for it. All right, so let's get into making a wonderful barbecue sauce. It's not hard. We're going to start with thinning out that tomato paste, start with our base, and then build on it. When it comes to flavoring something with garlic, let me show you a neat trick. I'm going to start by crushing some cloves of garlic. I'm not going to cut them up. No, I'm just going to crush them. I'm going to throw them right down into my pan. I'm going to put some olive oil right on top of them. Okay, it doesn't take a lot of olive oil here. I'm going to use maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons. Turn this burner on. I want the burner on about a medium to medium low. That'll work fine for this. I just need enough heat to cook the garlic that I put in this into that oil. And the whole idea here is I don't want the garlic chunks or bits or pieces of any garlic in my sauce. I just want the flavor. And this oil will blend perfectly into the sauce. It'll just emulsify right into it. That's one of the neat things about working with tomato paste. It has a lot of its own oil in it, and it has no problem taking in a little more. Looky there. That's what I was looking for. I just want a little frying action going on that. And what's happening here is my oil from the garlic is mixing with the olive oil that I put into this pan. So I'm getting beautiful garlic flavored oil right here. So I only give it a couple of moments to brown just lightly. I want a tan color on it. If you get a dark brown color on any of this garlic, you're going to end up with bitter oil, and that's not going to give you a very good quality sauce in the end, okay? Now, see here? There's where we need to take it out. We've got a little color going on, just beginning to brown. Let's get those pieces out of there. And it's time for this. What I'm going to do here, there we go. See how that just took it right in? Not a problem. And also, a little water in there. There we go. So now I have a good beginning, a good start. What I need to do from here is start working in flavors and sugars. So that's next, my sugar. Now I'll say this, I love the flavor of honey in a barbecue sauce. You don't see a lot of barbecue sauces done this way, not on commercial sauces, because it makes them expensive. And of course, you know, when it comes to a barbecue sauce, they want it to be as economical as possible to make so they can earn as much profit off of it. When I say they, I'm talking about commercial food companies that make bulk, bulk condiments, barbecue sauces, things like that. It's all about their profit margin. Our taste buds are important, but only to the extent that it sells the product. All right, at this point, I can get this out of here, get something in this that'll stir it a little more efficiently. Alrighty, I was doing a little cleanup of my area. Now I'm going to put in some special flavoring for myself. I've got a big clump of tomato paste up on the side. There we go. Okay, now beautiful start. Begin with about a half a teaspoon of salt in here. I want my cumin next. Now the cumin is a very overwhelming power, especially in sauces like this, so be gentle with it. 1 teaspoon to start with. If you taste it and you want a little more of that cumin flavor, you can always add more. But in this recipe, I like 1 teaspoon. Now on this, 1, 2, and 3 tablespoons. And I went light. I went light on that last tablespoon because I went a little heavy on the first one, okay? It works out that way. Look at this. Suddenly it's starting to take on a very common barbecue sauce color, isn't it? Wow, that ruddy brown color right there. Now it is a bit on the thick side, so I'm going to add just a little more water. To this point, I've only used about a half a cup of water, but then we are going for a fairly thick sauce. We'll put a low flame underneath this and gently bring it up in heat and simmer it. I want to simmer this for about 20 minutes, just long enough to get everything fully cooked inside of it, to get the flavors to combine well, and then I'm going to taste it and make sure there's nothing I want to change. Do I want salt? Do I want to add acid? Do I want something fruity in there, like some juice? You know, questions like that will come up once you've tasted it, and you will decide for your own how you want it to taste from that point. But when you try this, you might just get stuck using this one because it's a good one. It's definitely simmering. Okay, so as you notice, it splatters a little bit when you open the lid. When you're doing a sauce like this and you want to open the lid, you don't want to mess, just pull the sauce off of the heat, give it a second or two, then open your lid, and you'll save yourself a lot of trouble. All right, this just needs time to simmer, and as I mentioned, it doesn't take long. It needs about 15, 20 minutes at the most. Taste it after about 10 to 15 minutes and see if it has the flavor profile you're looking for. If not, if it's not sweet enough, add more sugar. If it needs fruitiness, then add, as I mentioned, one of those fruit juices. If it needs to be spicier, you can add in whichever spice that you feel that it needs. It's a very simple, basic type of sauce. So this, I've got set to low. I'm going to let it do its thing. Here we go. Have a little barbecue sauce. That is just too nice, isn't it? The quantity of all of the ingredients that I used today, I used, starting right here, 6 ounces of tomato paste. I didn't use much olive oil, just enough to cook our garlic in. And that was a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. And on the honey, I used 1/4 cup of that, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of my favorite flavorant. Okay, now I used bourbon. You can omit this if you wish. I used a few cloves of garlic that were cooked up in that olive oil to give that wonderful garlicky flavor it has. And then a pinch of salt, no more than a teaspoon. And then on that paprika, we started there at 3 tablespoons of paprika, 1 teaspoon of cumin. All right, and that's the recipe. You're going to use enough water to thin that to the consistency that you're looking for your barbecue sauce. When I'm testing sauces, often I like to use a piece of bread. This, oh yes, I turned it off just a few minutes ago. I have what looks like an absolutely beautiful barbecue sauce here. Nice, thick, rich. Get this to cool down a little bit. I tasted it a little bit ago. It had the right flavor. Thing is, oh yeah, oh that is so good. That's the right flavor. I'm going to be putting that on some ribs in a little bit. I've got some ribs that I'm braising right now, beef ribs. Now, that's a different show. You're going to have to watch that one separate. But this sauce you've just seen. You've seen how easy it is to make. It's not a difficult thing. And frankly, folks, what you get from it is so unbelievably delicious. It's something that is very malleable. You can change it to suit your own needs and your own ingredients and your own likes and dislikes. If you hate cumin, you don't have to put cumin in there. If you want more garlic, add more garlic. It's up to you. It's your sauce. So please enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Take a look in my description box if you would, and check those links out that I mentioned before. There's that link to my website where you get the recipes, and that's S.A.Trotter.com. Also, please subscribe if you haven't done so, and click the bell so you'll get notifications when I put new recipes up. And if you have subscribed, thank you. I really appreciate you for being on board with me and helping out. Leave a comment below, ask questions, thumbs up if you liked it, and please enjoy your barbecue.